My name is Ged Finch, or Ged. I'm the director and founder of a company called XFrame, which is a prefabricated modular framing technology. We've registered provisional patents in Australia, as well as registered with the Intellectual Property Office of New Zealand. Where I grew up is a very beautiful part of the world. It's central Otago. It's a very untouched landscape, and as I grew up I started to see a different side of that, which was development and growth and an impact on the environment that I loved, and so XFrame is trying to do something about that. I've been interested in construction and prefabrication and new technologies right since I left high school, and I've been very lucky to continue that right through my education and then spin a company out. There was a lot of prototyping behind the XFrame system, and it came halfway through my research process. There was a series of models, small little laser cut models, and a pattern jumped out that made sense structurally, made sense architecturally, and here it is, 5 years later in buildings in Australia, New Zealand and the US. XFrame has chosen to use design registrations as a method of IP defence and control. XFrame, the name, just happened as it does. Our framing is X-shaped, and so that spun out quite easily. I was standing manufacturing the first prototype with a partner out in the Gracefield campus out in Wellington, and I was standing beside the machine and the guy asked me, "Oh, what do I call this file? I don't know what to call it. You must have a name for the system." And so lo and behold, XFrame popped out, and here we are. XFrame at its core creates a modular frame that is designed to go into buildings and then be recovered at the end of its life. Working with a commercial accelerator based out of South Australia called Innovating, they helped me develop what is now XFrame Pty Limited and XFrame Holdings Limited, which are these companies which hold the IP. XFrame operates within the construction market, but specifically in 3 different sections within that. So we have a structural load-bearing frame option, which is like your residential construction, your small house design. Then we have an internal fit-out solution, which is anything from offices to retail fit-outs to apartment buildings. And then we have a third class of product, which is our office furniture range, which is basically a miniaturized version of XFrame. The reason why we're interested in the internal fit-out, the soft fit-out kind of space, is because it has a very quick turnover. So your average office fit-out only lasts between 5 and 10 years. So if you can reflect upon that, about the amount of waste that creates, it's obviously significant. So it makes much more sense to put something like XFrame in that space, because you get the reuse out of it and you get the value out of it. It's a much easier, or a better value proposition, let's say, than what would be the residential space. XFrame offers the customer or the owner of the building or the owner of the space the ability to easily change the walls or the structure that they've built. The XFrame is designed to come apart, be easily changed, easily recycled, updated, reconfigured, moved, on-sold. All of the things that you need to make a circular economy happen. When you think about construction, you probably imagine timber framing, thin pieces of timber nailed together. It's been that way for 100 years, that's okay. What our technology brings is an entirely different way of putting together a building and then fitting it out. Architects and designers love it because they see it as a new way of interacting with the building. Younger builders seem to love it because they can see the technology in it, so they can see the newness, the innovation, the willingness to try something new. In the customer end, we're also seeing a great response from those who see value in something that they can then reuse. So XFrame's been very, very lucky with the support and recognition it's received from the industry. Right way back in 2017, when the ideas were first formulating, I got a grant from the New Zealand Institute of Building. From that little piece of seed funding, I managed to secure PhD support, and so funding from Building Research New Zealand, which then basically gave me the headspace, the time and the resources to say, well, what's next on this XFrame journey? What could it be? So it wouldn't have been possible without those two founding support people. From there, I was supported by KiwiNet. They're a government-run commercialisation agency. The KiwiNet program led on to the Innovating opportunity, which was the accelerator program. In 2020, the Sustainable Business Network, which is a collection of sustainably focused businesses from around New Zealand, awarded us their Going Circular Prize, which was excellent. It was a bit of a pat on the back from the community in New Zealand to say, we believe in what you're doing. We're a very new company at that stage with only 1 or 2 projects under our belt, but just having that as a bit of an external tick of approval from those that really know best was really validating. Through the Victoria University of Wellington Technology Transfer Office, Stephanie Grant, who's the intellectual property manager, connected me with AJ Park and other intellectual property firms, and then helped educate me around the process and the steps required. Steph from the IP team at Uni Ventures has talked me through the phases of patent submission, things to look for when reviewing the drafts, understanding some of the complexity or the finer detail of a patent document, and also right through to things like which categories to file in, particularly for the trademarks. We're very confident that there's no other product like it in the market. The XFrame technology was publicly disclosed, and that meant we had to find elements of the system that weren't disclosed or had then since evolved after that initial disclosure. The novelty for the patents that we've had then since filed have been around the way the parts come together. One of the core pieces of IP was a patent protecting parts of the frame, specifically in this instance a clip that holds some of the frame elements together, which has sort of a broader design scope around the frame itself. XFrame has used design registrations as a way of managing IP, and that's proven to be a really effective way of maintaining the defensibility of XFrame's IP over a very long period of time. We've also worked on trademarks around the XFrame brand, both the logo, the shape, and also the word. We also have a strong interest in protecting the visual identity of XFrame. There's quite a lot of interest in using XFrame as a visual thing, a cue within offices or within different fit-outs for the product, and so that means that we would look towards a design registration or a similar type of IP defence in that space. Because of the way we manufacture and the way we distribute that manufacturing, we need really clear, defensible solutions for the XFrame IP, and so that's what this patent means. It means that when an investor or an industry member looks at XFrame, they can see very clearly where the value is. And so that conversation when we're pitching or when we're talking to new people is made a lot easier by having that IP portfolio in place. We are currently operating in Australia, New Zealand and the US, and so that requires at least 3 jurisdictions, but we will also look into the European market. So my advice for anyone interested in the IP space would be to stop and think about it. No matter how remote or how removed you think you are from the IP process, it's likely to be a very key part of talking about your technology, your invention to other people. And so flushing out a plan for that and speaking to people that know about what IP can be as soon as possible is really important. So although you might dismiss a patent initially, there might be other opportunities that can be extremely valuable to you and the company and others as you grow your idea. And so don't just dismiss that you might not be involved in that process. The XFrame IP will continue to evolve, and we're obviously constantly coming up with new ideas. And as part of that, we will always look to defend those new ideas to create a wider story and more impact.
That's great, go home.
Thank you. Easy, good. I appreciate the time taking to
Thank you, everybody.